I'm Joe Pinola, and we will get started in just a moment, as it looks like we've gotten a soccer ball from the sidelines. The Norwood Mustangs today taking on the Warriors of Medfield. Last home weekend for Norwood, or at least today will be the last home game for the Mustangs. These two teams will be right back at it with a home-and-home tomorrow. There's number 2, Athena Alexopoulos with the ball for the Mustangs, and she loses that to the Medfield girls. This one will roll out of bounds. A little bit chilly, and you can see it in some of the girls. They're looking to get some of that warmth going, but we should be seeing that in just a moment. Norwood with a good mix of freshmen, sophomores, and juniors on their JV roster. 5 freshmen on the team, 3 juniors serving as leaders. This one an attempted through ball, but a solid run down for a couple players. There's 17 for Medfield, and a nice save by, I believe that's Samantha Rose in net for Norwood. Norwood's been rotating their keepers on the JV level. We've seen one keeper, typically Sam Rose, play the first half of most matches, trying to work that through as a player for Medfield, and Samantha gobbles that up again. And Norwood has had pretty much a different girl start the first half and the second half of most matches for Coach Anne-Marie Wagner in her first season as Norwood JV girls soccer coach. This ball now in the middle of the field. Sophia Venditti pressuring on defense for the Mustangs, along with number 11, Livia Zaldivar. We've seen Livia as one of those rotating cast of keepers for the Mustangs. This one now, Sophia takes a ball off her thigh, it looks like there, and now Norwood trying to get something going. Here is the middle of the field now for Norwood, and Maggie McDermott working the ball for the Mustangs. Back now for Medfield as this one rolls towards the sideline, doesn't quite go out of bounds, and the ball stays in. Medfield has had a history of success. Their varsity team has been rather successful in the Tri-Valley League over the past couple of seasons and really over the past decade. JV team has been a feeder program. We'll get a new soccer ball into play, and 17 once again for Medfield. Trying to work it against number 6, that's Alina Para for the Mustangs on the far sideline. Norwood is going left to right on your screen. They're wearing the royal blue. Medfield in the white with the sky blue numbers. They're going right to left. Here's Medfield now trying to get something going. An attempted through ball to 17, but Norwood chases it down. That's Livia Zaldivar with the ball, number 11. And she will put it out of play. It will be Medfield ball. Last weekend of the season, we are playing into November this year, so the temperatures have gotten a little chillier here in New England, but luckily none of that snow we saw a couple weeks ago when this game was originally supposed to be played. This is a postponement and a makeup game that was originally scheduled for a couple weekends ago towards the end of October. So the girls hopefully happy to see their season continuing on. Norwood will earn a goal kick. That's Samantha Rose taking the goal kick for the Mustangs. Handled by number 10 for Medfield. She works against number 9, Jenna Nauman for the Mustangs into the far corner. And escorting that ball out of bounds looks to be Livy Bedard. We'll be seeing hopefully many of these girls back next season for Norwood. Perhaps some on the varsity level, perhaps some of them back here on JV. We've seen some great strides from many of these girls this season and some energy that we've seen keep up through the year. They've been in many of their contests, even if the scores haven't indicated that all the time. But with a team with a small-ish bench like Norwood has, being able to keep that energy up is a really nice sign of a team that's working well together. Nice play there to win the ball by Livia Zaldivar. And trying to connect with another player. This one will go out of bounds and Giving it chase, it looks like number 6, Alina Para. This one back for the keeper now. We get a new ball into play. And Sam Rose decides to keep this one on the ground. Giving chase is Athena towards the middle of the field. Now Sophia Venditti closes in, working with number 13, Kylie McDonough. And now Jackie Morales-Munoz battling a Medfield player on the sideline. She's unable to win it, but this ball eventually will go out off of the Warriors, and Norwood will have control. And here is the kick-in. Again, a weird rule this season with the new COVID-friendly soccer guidelines from the MIAA. There are no throw-ins, as you may have noticed. If you haven't caught any games yet this season, we are glad to have you here on NCM, but you may notice that a couple strange things. The balls are being kicked in from the sideline as opposed to being thrown in, so players are required to back off a little bit and to give a little room for the player putting the ball into play. This one is controlled by the Medfield keeper, wearing a very bright neon uniform. We can very easily see where she is. She boots this one to roughly the 35-yard line. Jenna Nauman working with the ball for Norwood. She loses it, now battling with 26 for Medfield. Here's her through ball. And Samantha Rose will come out of the net. She's not really challenged on that one. And Norwood able to divert a potential threat on that through ball that looked to be dangerous for about a half second. Big kick for Medfield, trying to make something happen. They'll play it deep. Olivia Zaldivar tries to hold off the Medfield defender. She does a nice job of that, and Norwood will get another goal kick. Roughly 11 minutes remaining here in the first quarter. We'll play 4 17-minute quarters. That, unlike the varsity level, where we'll see 4 20-minute quarters. A couple of subs coming in for Medfield. Number 19 is now in for the Warriors. Number 24, it looks like, close to us. A nice stop there by Olivia Zaldivar. And again, Livia does the same thing. Medfield try to get a couple balls past her, but she's up for the task. That sends number 4 back for the Warriors, as it will go out near the Mustang sideline. You might notice on the far side of the field, the teams are very separated. It's to adhere to the COVID guidelines. There's a table in the middle of the field where the players have been checking in from, but otherwise the team's keeping their distance. Some leftover tributes from senior week last season. Here's some work for the Mustangs. Number 10, that's Maggie McDermott for Norwood with an active foot. And chasing this one out of bounds is Lauren Reen. Lauren, one of the 5 freshmen on the Norwood roster. Passes that back to 35 for Medfield, who will serve us with the kick-in as the ref motions her back a little bit. Now in the middle of the field, Sophia Venditti working with Kylie McDonough for the Mustangs. Norwood trying to make something happen here. They've had a couple chances. Medfield has had more through balls, but none that have turned into too serious of a threat early on. Chasing this one in is Athena Alexopoulos, and this ball will go out of bounds as she's joined by Maggie McDermott. 2 strikers trying to get in there. And the Mustangs now have it in the Medfield end. That'll be Livy Bedard coming in to kick this ball in for Norwood. She's there with number 9, Jenna Nauman. I imagine we'll see a little bit of work between them to try to get the ball going. Instead, she looks middle of the field for Lauren Reen, who tries to take a shot. Ends up getting it to Athena, working against 2 Medfield defenders. Athena now follows it to the sideline. She'll attempt to reset. She does. And Medfield is able to divert the threat. Nice work for the Mustangs, trying to get something going early on. That's probably the best chance we've seen for Norwood so far. They're hoping to get a couple more of those with the ball in the Medfield end. That looks like number 5 for Norwood, Carolyn Boussiere, kicking it in. And we'll hear a whistle, and the ball will stay with the Mustangs. About 8.5 minutes remain. We are roughly halfway through the first quarter. No score here from Murray Field. The Norwood Mustangs taking on the visiting Medfield Warriors. Now a big kick in for the Mustangs. Trying to gain control, but this one will go out of bounds. We've seen a lot of attempted through balls here in the early going, but at least more from the Medfield end, it looks like, early on. Medfield's been trying to spring some of their players, but Norwood's defense has really held up to the task here in the early going. That's number 20, Sophia Venditti. Lightly taps this ball for Lauren Reen. Lauren makes a nice move to get around a Medfield defender. And taking the ball, ooh, that one looks like it might have hit a Norwood player in the face. She shakes that one off. And now Medfield with a little bit of energy. But Lauren Reen is right there to steal it from her, and the ref will wave that off. It appears the player who got hit for Norwood earlier will take a jog to the sidelines. Perhaps she'll get helped up by the Norwood trainer as she gets a nice little round of applause from her teammates. I believe that's number 18, Julia Mace. Looks like she tried to continue going, but she'll come over and Coach Wagner will help her to the sidelines. Yeah, looking at that at first, it looked like a Norwood player got hit, but play carried on as Julia tried to fight through it. But now she'll take a little bit of a breath in the sidelines, and hopefully we'll see her back on the field relatively soon. This one is a sky-high ball that the Medfield keeper has a little trouble handling on at first, but she's able to dive on it and cover up. Nice play to divert the threat. Norwood has really started to come on here at the end of the first quarter. 6.5 minutes remaining here in this JV girls soccer match. Now giving it some challenge on the sideline. That's Sophia Venditti, number 20. Carolyn Boussiere is there. Number 5, she'll go chase that ball down. And actually, she almost ran a little bit out of the field of our vision, but Caroline did a nice job of not picking up the soccer ball. If that happens, then a new soccer ball needs to be put in play. That with the new COVID guidelines. And I keep saying new at this point, but at this point we've seen the guidelines at least in our 9th game. The 9th game for Norwood, their 10th and final match, will be tomorrow against these same Warriors of Medfield. Looks like Livy Bedard has subbed off for Norwood. Emily Seco, number 14, is now on the field. Emily, a sophomore defender. The Norwood defense has been one of their highlights here in this abbreviated season. Particularly with some different keepers in there for the Mustangs, but Coach Wagner's done a nice job of keeping things fresh and keeping the Norwood girls on their toes. This one will just make it to the sideline, despite a good run from one of the Medfield players. That's number 35. We've seen her around the ball a lot. And now a little bit of a crow hop and a kick for Medfield. Number 36 will challenge that in the middle of the field. And now Jackie Morales-Munoz working against a couple defenders. The ball takes a funny hop away from her. And falling over trying to move backwards. And shaking that off is a player for Norwood. Lauren Reen now trying to make something happen. And this one will go out of bounds. Four and a half minutes remain here in this first quarter of action from Murray Field. Emily Seco will put this one in. She's working with number 9, Jenna Nauman. Gets it to Jenna. Nice first step from Jenna, who now finds the sidelines. She moves down, and that ball is kicked away. It looks like, I believe it will be Norwood ball, and it will be as Jenna goes to chase it off the track. Nice tracking from the Medfield defender, who was beat at first, but then was able to kick the ball out of bounds. But a really strong move from Jenna Nauman now sets up Norwood with a chance. Reversed from the kick-in before, she now works with Emily Seco. That's also number 10, Maggie McDermott, in there for Norwood. Nice step there from Liv Zaldivar. Here's Maggie McDermott again, number 10. Seen a lot of Mustangs around the ball. This one will go out of bounds. And based on the escorting to the sideline by the Medfield keeper, I imagine it will be their ball. Nice to see Julia Mace moving around a little bit on the sidelines, getting a jog in. Hopefully we'll see her back on the field relatively soon. She took a ball to the face earlier, but after getting checked out with the trainer, no official word yet, but I imagine we'll be seeing her in the not-too-distant future. Here's a chance for Medfield. Hustling back for the Norwood Mustangs is Livia Zaldivar, and now she gets some great extra help from Kylie McDonough. The two of them trying to stuff out this Medfield threat here late in the first quarter, and they seem to, as this one will roll out. Some really good speed we saw. That was 13, Kylie McDonough for Norwood. She really came flying into the picture. And number 11, Livia Zaldivar, who's been one of their standout defenders for the Mustangs early on, again snuffing out another Medfield threat. And a near collision in the middle of the field between a Norwood player and a Medfield player. And Athena will watch this one roll out. And the ref will signal, I believe, Medfield ball. A couple of new subs coming in for the Warriors. Number 35 now with it. She will kick it in for Medfield. She's joined by number 17. And a quick step from Caroline Boussiere is able to put Norwood potentially in business. Sophia Venditti turns around, but she has that ball stolen by a Medfield player. That looks like number 7. I apologize if I'm misattributing some of the Medfield players. The light numbers on the back of their jerseys, not the easiest to see from up here, but we'll do our best. About a minute to go here in the first quarter. At this point, the refs will keep the time on the field. Medfield now with a little give and go. Here's a chance for the Warriors, and this one goes off the post. Samantha Rose did a nice job of covering that side of the goalpost. She forced Medfield to take a shot at a tough angle, and the ball rings off the post. A really nice little give and go for the Warriors, trying to make something happen here late in the first quarter. Once again, a little confusion near the net. And the refs will wave this one, and it appears that we have reached the end of the first quarter. So after one quarter of action, a tightly contested contest between the JV squad for the Norwood Mustangs and the JV squad for the Medfield Warriors. No score here from Murrayfield and Norwood, and we'll be back with the second quarter after these messages.
On behalf of the Alliance for Community Media and our foundation, we want to congratulate Norwood Community Media for their excellence in work in 2019. And we also want to congratulate the town of Norwood for investing in community media that reflects the needs of its people. You do great work every day and every week, and you should be proud.
It's a sign of our commitment to the town we serve. Norwood Community Media is honored to receive the Alliance for Community Media National Award for Overall Excellence. for our weekly Norwood News hosted by Kristen McDonald. Norwood Digest with Jack McCarthy. Your Town at Work with Jerry Slater. Sports Extra with Mark Hoover and Joe Meehan. Live broadcasts of town events and gavel-to-gavel coverage of town government. The station people turn to for trusted local coverage. Norwood Community Media, your home for all things Norwood.
Welcome back, everyone, to Murray Field here in Norwood. We've got a JV girls soccer matchup between the Medfield Warriors and the Norwood Mustangs. No score so far as we head on into the second quarter of action. About to start as both teams get ready in the middle of the field. Joe Panola with you from the solo booth today as we are underway. Here for the Mustangs is number 10, Maggie McDermott. We saw a lot of energy from her in the first quarter. Looking to keep that energy up. Really nice to see a lot of different girls getting into the action for the Mustangs. Coach Anne-Marie Wagner in her first season for Norwood really doing a nice job of rotating a bunch of players in and out. It looks like Samantha Rose remains the keeper for the Mustangs here. Norwood known for switching up some of their goalkeepers. Most of them have done a really nice job, though, during this abbreviated 2020 season. And there is Samantha Rose as she was able to control it. Tries to kick that one over the defenders to number 17, Jackie Morales-Munoz. And now Medfield, number 24, working with number 17. We saw a lot of 17 from Medfield trying to get a couple through balls working in the first quarter. Probably the best shot in the first quarter of action came from Medfield in the waning moments. We saw, I forget who it was for Medfield, but put the ball right off the post. Olivia Zaldivar did a nice job of closing in for Norwood along with Kylie McDonough on that play, and Samantha Rose cutting down the angle kept this a 0-0 game. And that's where we are with about 15 minutes left to go, really in just the early part of this second quarter. Medfield going left to right now. And now the ref will put up his hand, and it looks like Norwood will have it. That's number 11, Olivia Zaldivar, working with Kylie McDonough. Those two, along with Livy Bedard and Caroline Boussiere, providing a solid back line for the Mustangs, which has really been the strength of this team so far. A little bit of movement now for the Mustangs, and booting it forward is Kylie. He's Lauren Reen, to the delight of her teammates. Lauren's had a lot of energy here in the first part of this game. Certainly a cold day out there. I think we might approach 50 degrees maybe as this game carries on, but the girls out there, if they were cold a little bit in the early on, well, a lot of the running they're doing will hopefully get that blood flowing. Nice step there from Kylie McDonough, getting it up to Maggie McDermott. Here's a ball deep, trying to go through to Athena Alexopoulos. Athena working against two Medfield defenders. She loses it. And Medfield now will come back with it the other way. Good step from Jackie, number 17. And now going off the leg of Caroline Boussiere. Trainer will come to help us out and put this ball in range for one of the Medfield players. That's number 5 for Medfield kicking it in. Actually, excuse me. They must have heard me on that, and they're going to do a quick sub. A couple players subbing out for Medfield, and now number 4 will kick it away. That's the ref asking her to move that back a little bit to the red line. Good step there from Caroline Boussier. Now a through ball chance. Kylie McDonough really working hard to get there. Deep now in the Norwood zone. And a chance for Medfield. Norwood defenders trying to get out of there. They can't, and Medfield will boot it over the back of the net. A good chance for the Warriors. But again, some really nice hustle from the Norwood defenders. We saw Kylie McDonough really working hard to get back there. We saw a nice step to kick it out of bounds from Caroline Boussier. This Norwood back line has been impressive early on. Looks like we're waiting for a little shoe tying timeout. Well, not exactly a timeout, but Samantha Rose will wait a second for one of her teammates, and now we're ready to go. About 12 minutes remaining here in the second quarter of JV girls soccer action. Now Sophia Venditti gets it up to Lauren Reen. And a chance now for Athena, number 2 for the Mustangs. This ball just misses being a handball off of Sophia, number 20. Moving it to the sideline, that's 25 for Medfield. Working against Caroline, number 5 for Norwood. Here's Livia Zaldivar, who's made a couple really nice steps early on. Looked like Jenna Nauman tried to get it to Jackie, and Jackie makes it a really nice move that turns into a chance for Athena, but this ball will roll out the sidelines. Really nifty footwork on the sidelines for number 17 for Norwood. And Athena moves in to challenge that one, knock it out of bounds, but Medfield will keep control of the ball. And they'll start with it now at about the 25. Ref motioning the players back. They've got to give 10 yards on those kick-ins, perhaps something that many of them aren't used to with the throw-ins the way it used to be. Medfield now will keep possession. Medfield in the white, going left to right on your screen. Norwood going right to left in their home blues. Got about 10 minutes to go here in the second quarter. Still no score. This one now will go right out of bounds off of a Medfield player. And number 5, Caroline Boussier, will run it back for the Mustangs. This one now will stay in bounds. Flirting with the sidelines was Norwood. Almost surprised themselves the way they were able to keep that ball in bounds. Good step there from Livia Zaldivar, but she'll thwart that threat and put this one OB. Nice hustle from the Medfield player, number 4, to go retrieve that. And a good move there. This one will go out of bounds, though. 17 for Medfield, trying to walk the tightrope along the sidelines, but unable to do that. Couple of subs coming in. It looks like Jackie Morales-Munoz subbing out for Norwood. And nice to see number 18, Julia Mace, back in the game. She took a ball what I think was potentially off her face in the Norwood end back in the first quarter, but she seems to be able to regroup after a visit to the trainer, and she's back out there. Nice to see her really back out on the field quickly and giving the good hustle she usually does for the Mustangs. and Norwood will get the ball. Here's a strong drive from Kylie McDonough. Handled nicely, though, by a Medfield player who'll basically kick it right back where it came from. Number 5, Caroline Boussiere will run this ball down. Caroline's been very busy for Norwood, at least here in this second half. Drops it off, and we see another drive from Kylie McDonough. Here's Erin Reen. We heard a lot of Erin's name called in the first quarter. She is quick, and she has a lot of energy. Really bright future for number 4 for the Mustangs. Speaking of, she gives a really nice challenge here. But Medfield able to keep control, and now a through ball, but it looks like a player was offsides. And the ref's quick on that. Has to be quite the adjustment for these referees. Learning all these new rules, these kick-ins instead of throw-ins. Having to call players for being too aggressive if they're not challenging the ball because of the distancing requirements, seeing players play with masks. But a big credit to the folks in yellow. They've done a nice job, not only today, but throughout the season. Samantha Rose comes out of her net to collect it for Norwood. And now she'll give it a drive. Julia Mace does a nice job stopping the progress of that ball, but quickly taken by a Medfield player. And that's number 17 again for Medfield. We've kind of seen where she likes to go. She seems to enjoy coming down the sidelines. And a couple times she's had that ball go off her foot and roll out of bounds, but she is dangerous and making her presence felt here in this game. About 6.5 minutes to go. We're in the second quarter of action. Nice step there by Kylie McDonough. Norwood not out of the woods yet, though. Number 24 for Medfield. Here's 17 now with a chance. And a collision with the goalkeeper. This one will go out of bounds, and it looks like, is that a corner kick awarded for Medfield? I believe so. Nice job by Samantha Rose, though. 0-0 in net, holding her ground. And that whistle is because I believe a Medfield player picked up the soccer ball. In our strange COVID times rules, you can't pick it up without having to swap the soccer ball out for another one, and we'll do exactly that. Number 17 for Medfield, along with number 13 in the corner. She'll tap that in. Here's a chance, and it goes just wide of the net. And Norwood will earn a goal kick with about 5 minutes remaining. Strange to see a lot of these corner kicks just as little drop-offs and then the offense trying to make something out of that as opposed to the big corner drives that we might be used to seeing in the past. But one of those other COVID-friendly rules is there's no headers. As you may have noticed, none of these players attempting to head the ball in. And that is something else that really has affected gameplay in pandemic life soccer. Here's Lauren Reen winning the ball against 2 Medfield defenders. Still working, now gets it to Alina Para. Alina now with a chance for Julia Mace. Here's the two of them coming in, and this ball goes off a Norwood player. Good defense from Medfield. Norwood had another good chance, but it's snuffed out by the Medfield keeper. Now a nice turn by Sophia Venditti. She keeps it in play and gets it to Julia Mace. Norwood now will bring the squad back on defense. Here's now another potential chance. Julia Mace working against number 4 for the Warriors. And we'll get a new soccer ball in play as number 5, Caroline Boussiere, will bring it to the sideline. Good step there by Sophia Venditti. Gets it to Erin Reen. Lauren Reen. Good work by the Norwood defenders. Nothing doing there. This one will roll to the far end of the field. Samantha Rose ranging far out of her net, and she'll touch it after it goes out of bounds. Ball moving pretty slickly on the grass today. We had a bit of rain in the area yesterday, so perhaps that's contributing to it. But the turf dries out relatively nicely, so hopefully that's not affecting the gameplay too much. Here's some good dribbling down the sidelines from Kylie McDonough. This ball will stay in bounds. Hustling down for Norwood is Alina Para. She's going to try to make this interesting. Lauren Reen getting in there as well. Norwood now with a chance. Here's Lauren Reen, and the ball is stolen from her by the Medfield keeper. I'll tell you what really made that play happen is we saw Kylie McDonough with a through ball attempt down the sidelines, and that ball just went exactly as she wanted to off every blade of grass to keep it in bounds. And Norwood, with the trio of Alina Para leading the way and Julia Mason, Lauren Reen, were able to run it down. Credit to the Mustangs for not giving up on that ball and turning it into an offensive chance. 2 minutes remaining here in the second quarter. The refs will keep the time on the field from this point going forward. Now potentially a chance for the Mustangs. Again in their offensive end. Stepping up is Caroline Boussier, number 5. Good step again from Livia Zaldivar. Now giving chase is Jenna Nauman as a Medfield player falls down near her. She sticks her leg out, but Jenna is able to keep her balance. Really nice job by number 9 there for the Mustangs. And it looks like it will be Medfield ball with a couple of Norwood players near there. Norwood trying to get a last offensive chance here as we're in the closing moments of this second quarter. Still no score between the Mustangs and the Warriors. And now the Medfield keeper will gather the ball. Nice control there by Livy Bedard. Olivia Bedard, one of the juniors on this team. She's been a leader on the roster. Kylie McDonough, another junior, as is Alina Para. Always nice to have some leadership, especially amongst a JV program with a lot of youth like Norwood has. And we've seen this program play pretty well today, here on a chilly Saturday morning in November. Now a chance for Medfield. Nice save by Samantha Rose. This ball right at her, but Samantha kept her eyes on it. And this one will roll out of bounds. We'll see if the refs allow for one more chance for Medfield. And they will not, as they will call the end of the first half of action. Really nice, closely contested game early on. We've seen a couple chances for Medfield, a couple chances for Norwood, especially late in that second quarter. But the game score remains 0-0, and we have a really tightly contested contest here from Murray Field. We'll be back looking forward to the second half of action on Norwood Community Media after these messages.
Do you want to stay up to date with Norwood Community Media? Then subscribe to our weekly NCM newsletter. Every Friday, our promotions department publishes an online newsletter that highlights the work of NCM and the latest happenings. It includes the full episode of Norwood News, recent clips from NCM programs, behind-the-scenes photos, and so much more. NCM works hard to deliver a steady stream of Norwood content, and this newsletter is another way to stay connected to Norwood. To receive the newsletter, just visit www.norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Scroll to the bottom of the page, click the Sign Up for Our Newsletter button, and enter some basic information. You'll then be added to our newsletter mailing list. It's all here on Norwood Community Media, your home for all things Norwood.
On behalf of the Alliance for Community Media and our foundation, we want to congratulate Norwood Community Media for their excellence work in 2019. And we also want to congratulate the town of Norwood for investing in community media that reflects the needs of its people. You do great work every day and every week, and you should be proud.
It's a sign of our commitment to the town we serve. Norwood Community Media is honored to receive the Alliance for Community Media National Award for Overall Excellence. For our weekly Norwood News, hosted by Kristen McDonald, Norwood Digest with Jack McCarthy, Your Town at Work with Jerry Slater, Sports Extra with Mark Hoover and Joe Meehan, live broadcasts of town events, and gavel-to-gavel coverage of town government. The station people turn to for trusted local coverage. Norwood Community Media, your home for all things Norwood.
Hi, I'm Chief Bill Brooks of the Norwood Police Department. The men and women of the Norwood PD are committed to protecting you and to providing you with top quality service. We're busy. Norwood is a nice town, but in any given 24-hour cycle, we handle anywhere from 65 to 90 radio calls and officer-initiated events. We patrol the town's 10 square miles, including over 100 miles of roadways. Our traffic enforcement focuses on places where crashes have occurred, neighborhoods where residents have reported chronic violations, and offenses that impact crashes like speed, texting, running stop signs and red lights, and failing to yield to pedestrians. When we're not tied up on calls, we work hard to build relationships with members of the community. So you'll see our officers out walking footbeats, checking in with merchants, and stopping at sporting events to chat with kids. We believe that every resident should know, or at least feel like they know, a member of our department. So if you see us, stop and say hello. We'd love to chat with you. On behalf of the men and women of the Norwood Police Department, it's our pleasure to serve you.
That God bless the broken road that led me straight to you. I think about the years I spent just passing through. I'd like to have the time I lost and give it back to you. But you just smile and take my hand. It's all a part of a grander plan that's coming true. 'Cause every long lost dream led me to where you are. And others who broke my heart, they were like northern stars, pointing me on my way into your loving arms. But this much I know.
You take one without. Just one. Just pull it down for the picture. Okay, ready? Okay.
Welcome back, folks, for the third quarter of action here. We've got the Norwood Mustangs against the Medfield Warriors, JV girls soccer action from Murray Field, and a great game so far. No score, as it's been a defensive battle, but both teams have had their offensive chances so far. Nothing, though, has found the back of the net. Norwood has made some substitutions here. It looks like they've made the keeper substitution that we were expecting. I believe that's Livia Zaldivar in net for Norwood. Samantha Rose played the first half and put up zeros. Nice work from Samantha as she has the ball on the far sideline. Lauren Reen, who had a lot of energy in the first half, working with her. And now trying to get an early chance for the Mustangs. That's 15, Samantha Rose. Working against a Medfield defender, beats her to the corner. But this ball will roll out of bounds. This is a young Norwood roster. 3 juniors on the JV squad, 5 freshmen, and a number of sophomores. But they've really had a lot of good energy. In fact, that sideline has been really loud for Norwood, which I've always thought is a really nice mark of a team that is playing well, is energized, and also a sign of really nice coaching staff. Good mark for Anne-Marie Wagner in her first season. We've also heard a lot of chatter from the Medfield sideline. Perry Oasis is the Medfield coach for this JV squad. Jenna Nauman now gets a foot on that ball as chasing it to the sideline is Samantha Rose. Samantha making her presence known in the first half in net and now in the middle of the field for the Mustangs as an offensive player. Here's a chance now at a through ball coming out of her net, we believe is Livia Zaldivar, judging based on process of elimination based on who's out there in the field. And now Medfield coming through with it. Chance now for the Warriors. And Caroline Boussier will get that away for Norwood. Caroline had a really strong first half. In fact, that whole defensive line for Norwood, all you need to do is take one look at the scoreboard and see the zeros put up by the Mustangs, and you'll know that there was a really strong defensive presence there. This will now be Norwood kicking it away. It's Jackie Morales-Munoz working with, I believe it's Kylie McDonough, number 13. Now giving a chase is Livy Bedard as it will roll out of bounds. And it looks like substitutions will come into play. Julia Mace, number 18, subbing out for Norwood. And I believe, a little bit hard to see, but it looks like that is number 10. That's Maggie McDermott, one of the freshmen on the Norwood roster, checking in. As we've said, the Norwood roster certainly looking bright for the future with the number of freshmen on the team. Giving a chase is Livia Zaldivar, and she'll grab that as the keeper. Maggie, who just checked in, one of the freshmen. Lauren Reen, also a freshman. We've seen some good moves from Jackie Morales-Munoz today. Sophia Venditti, number 20, another freshman on the roster, as is Julia Mace, number 18. So the young players for Norwood have been stepping up. And here's a chance now. Samantha Rose and Athena Alexopoulos working against number 4 for Medfield. They were able to get the ball away from her, but still trying to turn it into a chance. Here's 11 for Medfield. Now on the far side, that's Caroline Boussier, who's been busy today. And now Medfield trying to come down the far side. Jackie giving it a chase. This one on net, and it will just roll out of bounds. Doesn't leave the field of play, though. And Norwood able to divert the threat. Oh, that was close. Medfield buzzing around the ball. They've had a couple chances on here in the third quarter with about 14 minutes to go. But Norwood still holding strong. No score between these JV squads. Medfield now trying to go back to right where they were successful in getting a chance. And a kick save and a beauty from Livia Zaldivar to get that ball out of the way. And it looks like we'll have some more subs. Medfield subbing a couple players in. So credit to Coach Oasis for keeping that team fresh as well. The sidelines for both teams, not chock full with players. So you've got to imagine these players are getting tired as we move into the second half of action. But I think these girls just happy to be playing. We weren't sure back in August and September if there would even be a soccer season. But a big credit to the athletic directors from these schools in the TVL for making things happen. Nice step there by, it looks like Samantha Rose, and Kylie McDonough is there as well, working for Norwood to take care of that corner kick by Medfield. But Medfield will earn another. Samantha tries to get in there with a foot. Can't do it. Now trying to control it for Medfield is number 7. But Norwood will earn a goal kick. Well, this may not have been the exact season that anyone had imagined. 10 games as opposed to the usual high teens. Some different rules, no headers, kick-ins instead of throw-ins, but we're out there on the pitch, and I think for many girls, they're happy with that. That ball did appear to go off the head of Maggie McDermott. No call, though. Perhaps it just looked so natural that the play moves on. 27 for Medfield was trying to... 37 for Medfield was trying to work against Jenna Nauman. Couldn't get by her, but Medfield will keep possession. Looks like 17, Jackie Morales-Munoz just barely got her hand out of the way of that ball. And Norwood able to keep the ball out of the back of the net for now. Here's a chance at a through ball, but Medfield is there to answer the call. Good run, though, by Athena, number 2. And she's able to put that ball even further on down the pitch. "11 minutes to go here in this third quarter of action from Murrayfield and Norwood. And still we have not seen a soccer ball find the back of the net. It has been a defensive battle, but it has not been without offensive chances. We're glad you're able to join us at home here on NCM. We obviously wish you were here. But this has been an enjoyable game so far and some really good energy from both sides. Now back in the middle of the field, Jenna Nauman stands down against 27, and now a chance at a through ball. But coming way out of her net is Livia Zaldivar, and she's able to kick this ball away. Not only has the Norwood defense been really good, as we've discussed, but also the keepers have been aggressive. And that has kept points off the board so far. We'll follow this game up here on NCM with varsity girls action as the Mustangs take on, once again, the Warriors of Medfield. And then tomorrow will be the exact same schedule from Medfield High School, 9 a.m. for JV and 11 a.m. for the varsity girls. It will be the final game of the season for both teams. And so perhaps a little extra energy from both sides in this contest, knowing that this weekend represents the end of the 2020 soccer season. Here's Jackie and Livy working for Norwood. This one will go out of bounds and Medfield will keep possession. In fact, originally this game wasn't even on the schedule. This is a makeup game from a postponement a couple weeks ago. And as nippy as perhaps the weather is today, the girls, I think, just happy to be out there and not playing in snow. That would have been the case if we had been out here a couple weeks ago. But the season continues on, and all told, a nice day for a November morning. And hopefully it should warm up a little bit as varsity plans to take the pitch in about an hour. Another chance now for Medfield, and This one, did it go off the hand of Kylie McDonough? It appears so, as the ref jogs into the picture. And let's see how the refs will handle that. A little bit of confusion as the refs correctly assign the ball to Medfield. This one appears that it will be an indirect kick. Refs motioning the players 10 yards back. Again, those players can't be too close to each other, so we won't see the traditional wall that we're used to on these indirect kicks. Here's a drive now, and it will go over the top of the net. Nice job by Olivia putting her hand up in case that ball got a little bit close. But not a bad shot from the Medfield player. That ball kind of nestled in between the crossbar on the net and the lower crossbar on the field goal post right behind it. 8 minutes left here in the third quarter. So we're about halfway through this third quarter and still no score. Lauren Reen giving it a chase. Working along with Jenna Nauman. She comes with the head of steam towards the sidelines, working against number 11 for Medfield. Neither of them, though, will win it as the ball goes out of bounds, and Medfield will have possession. Seen some really good hustle from number 9, Jenna Nauman, today. And Maggie McDermott around the ball for Norwood. She's had some good hustle as well. And the refs will indicate that that will remain Medfield possession. They'll call on number 35, back with number 13 and 37 for the Warriors. Good boot off the foot of number 13. And here's chase from Samantha Rose, trying to steal it away. A Medfield player goes down. And that will be a foul against Norwood, number 15. Medfield now, an indirect kick. Let's see how they handle this one. Ref again, almost acting like an air traffic controller. Directs the teams to back up a bit. We'll wait for this ball to come into play. Here's the whistle. A strong drive, but Norwood gets the first part out of the way. Now trying to work it away is Lauren Reen. Really good speed up the sideline for Lauren. She attempts a through ball to Athena. And this one will roll out of bounds with number 4 for Medfield working against number 2, Athena Alexopoulos. And now coming in all the way from the defensive side is Livy Bedard, number 19. She'll be the one to put it in play for the Mustangs. Finds Lauren Reen. And now attempt to get it to Athena Alexopoulos. Athena working against 35 for Medfield. And they will declare Medfield ball. 5.5 minutes remain. No score here in the third quarter. Joe Panola with you from Murray Field in Norwood. We're happy to have you join us here on NCM. Nice move there by Jenna Nauman trying to make something happen. It doesn't go, and now Medfield tries to bring it back the other way. Really good play from the defensive lines on both sides and also from the keepers. We saw Samantha Rose throw up zeros in net for Norwood in the first half, and now Olivia Zaldivar trying to do the same. But a chance for Medfield. This one on net, and it will go just wide. Olivia almost does a split to make that save, but luckily the ball trickled just to the left of the goal, and Norwood will earn a goal kick. Boy, it feels like the field has been tilted towards Medfield a bit here in the third quarter. They've been knocking on the door, but yet they haven't quite made something happen. Nice ball from Lauren Reen, an attempted through. Here's Samantha Rose working against 5 as the Norwood sideline gets into it. Still a chance. The ball kept in for Norwood. Samantha working to keep it. And she does. Norwood will earn possession. That's number 20, Sophia Venditti. She's back along with Lauren Reen, who Medfield showing a lot of respect to, covering her really closely. Lauren still able to come out of there with the ball, but now gets it taken away. And it looks like are they calling an offsides here? Regardless, it will remain Norwood ball. 3.5 minutes to go. Kylie McDonough, we know she's got a strong leg. Let's see what she does here. There's a drive, and it goes just wide of the net. And you could hear the audible excitement and that level fall for a second as the Norwood bench realized it was going wide. But a good drive from Kylie McDonough, one of the juniors on this roster. And the field shifts as now we'll see one of the Medfield defenders attempt to boot it away. Nice stop there by Maggie McDermott, number 10. Maggie still giving chase. Now Jenna Nauman trying to make something happen down the sideline where she's been relatively successful working against Medfield, but not here. That appears to be number 35 for Medfield, who snuffed that play out. Waiting for it is Jackie Morales-Munoz, but this one, much to her chagrin, will go out of bounds, and Medfield will have it. 2 minutes left to go here. We are in the third quarter from Murray Field. Lauren Reen now. She tries a through ball, but the Medfield keeper comes out of her net and collects it. And the refs will signal that we have reached the end, perhaps a little bit early, of the third quarter, and still no score. So 3 quarters in the books here from Murray Field and Norwood. The Medfield Warriors 0, the Norwood Mustangs 0. It has been a tightly contested contest. The keepers, the defenses have been great, but not without offensive chances. And we'll look to see what happens as we head on into the fourth quarter after these messages on NCM.
On behalf of the Alliance for Community Media and our foundation, we want to congratulate Norwood Community Media for their excellence and work in 2019. And we also want to congratulate the town of Norwood for investing in community media that reflects the needs of its people. You do great work every day and every week, and you should be proud.
It's a sign of our commitment to the town we serve. Norwood Community Media is honored to receive the Alliance for Community Media National Award for Overall Excellence. For our weekly Norwood News, hosted by Kristen McDonald, Norwood Digest with Jack McCarthy. Your Town at Work with Jerry Slater. Sports Extra with Mark Hoover and Joe Meehan. Live broadcasts of town events and gavel-to-gavel coverage of town government. The station people turn to for trusted local coverage.
Welcome back to Murray Field in Norwood for the fourth quarter of action between the Norwood Mustangs JV Girls Soccer and the Medfield Warriors JV Girls Soccer team. Here's a chance early on for Medfield, and a nice save by Olivia Zaldivar in net for Norwood as she heaves this one towards the middle of the field. Medfield still on the attack. Here's number 24, working against a couple Norwood defenders. To the middle of the field, Kylie McDonough up to Samantha Rose, and she gets it out of there. An early chance for Medfield, and as we were saying to a couple folks here between the third and the fourth quarter, there may be no score on the scoreboard, but it doesn't mean that there haven't been chances for both squads. This one is cleared out, comes to the middle of the field for Lauren Reen. Good chase, though, by one of the Medfield players. Here comes Lauren Reen now with a couple players on her side, and this one hits off the side of the goal, and it will roll out of bounds. I think Lauren caught the Medfield keeper by surprise. She had a couple players around her. She had Maggie McDermott, Athena Alexopoulos, and Samantha Rose all hustling down. But Lauren decided to put it on net and almost surprised the whole Medfield team, basically, as the ball just rings off the post. But as we were saying, Norwood survived a couple Medfield chances in the third quarter after they had a strong second quarter and a close contest between two teams that have had a lot of energy in their last weekend of soccer in the 2020 season. Now a through ball, though, for Medfield. Here's a chance now for the Warriors. 25 coming up for Medfield, and this will go just wide. Give credit to Olivia Zaldivar as she came out of her net and forced the ball to go just a little bit wide off the foot of the Medfield player. It appears, though, that Medfield will now have the advantage. They will have a corner kick taken by number 17. Number 13 is also in the picture. Good aggressive play by Samantha Rose for Norwood. Trying to find Lauren Reen in the middle. She can't, but Norwood attempting to collect the ball and keep some offensive momentum going. Here's Athena looking for Samantha. A through ball attempt, but Medfield, for the most part, chases this one down, and this ball will stay in bounds. Now on the far sideline, and it will roll out. 14 minutes remain. We're about 3 minutes into the fourth quarter of action, and that's correct. You're looking at a 0-0 soccer game. Really good defense, really good goalkeeping, but yet still some offensive chances for both sides, as this has been an entertaining match to watch. We heard this ball as Samantha Rose attempted to kick it in, but it went off a Medfield defender. But a great way to start a mid-November morning here from Murray Field. A little bit nippy, but the sun is shining. Certainly better than the snow that we might have had a couple of weekends ago when this game was originally scheduled for. That ball goes off the foot of Sophia Venditti and right to one of the Medfield players. And we'll have some substitutions off the Medfield sideline. Number 4 is subbing out for Medfield, as is, I believe, number 13. Hard to tell yet the numbers that are coming in, but Medfield coach Perry Oasis looking to keep things fresh. Here's 37, who just checked in for Medfield. A nice move to get around Lauren Reen. But Samantha Rose keeps it in play. Here's Lauren. coming up with a host of Norwood players, and Maggie McDermott is unable to control it as the ball rolls out of bounds. It's been really nice to see the Norwood sideline getting really excited when they have some chances. Those girls are into it. And that's a credit, as we mentioned earlier, to not only the girls to stay this invested and engaged late in the season on a chilly day, but also to their coaching staff and their leaders in the varsity level, who we'll see coming up in just a little bit at 11 o'clock here also on NCM. Here's Lauren Reen now, working with Jenna Nauman. Jackie Morales-Munoz puts this one up. Jackie and Lauren Reen, two of the freshmen on the Norwood roster, who we've talked about them having a very bright future. Good step there by Sophia Venditti, but Medfield able to snuff this one out. And now an attempted through ball. Kylie McDonough gets on her horse. Boy, does she have speed as she moves down to challenge this. Now she's joined by a couple other Norwood players. And Livia Zaldivar collects the ball for the Mustangs. Another chance stopped by the Norwood defense and their aggressive keeper. Good hustle there from Samantha Rose. Medfield will regain possession, though. Number 5 now for Medfield, working with number 26. And this one goes off the back, it looks like, of Samantha Rose. You see number 15, she's holding it. And I believe that actually may have gotten her elbow or her hand. It looks like that's what the refs are calling, as Medfield will have it. Nice to see Samantha shake that off, and she's ready to go once again. And the Medfield player will line up for an indirect kick. And that one will sail just to the right of the net. Another Medfield chance. But in this fourth quarter, we've seen a couple of Norwood chances early on. Seems like Norwood has controlled the even quarters in these games, Medfield controlling the odd quarters. But yet, despite the chances for both sides, nothing has found the back of the net. Here's Medfield now with another potential opportunity, but Livia Zaldivar watches this ball roll out of bounds once again, and it will be another goal kick for Norwood. If you're just tuning in, 0-0. The JV girls soccer match, Norwood against Medfield. Been a really entertaining match early on. Here's Samantha Rose now attempting to do some work against the Medfield players. Almost falling down is 37 for Medfield, and she may have taken a little shove to the back there. And the ref will come over and have a conversation with 15, Samantha Rose for Norwood. There seemed to be a little bit of inadvertent contact. Samantha really came to play, and she's got a lot of energy today. So nothing malicious obviously meant by that one. And now a chance for Medfield. Caroline Boussier trying to work against 36 for Medfield, who comes down the sideline and just puts it over the net and out of bounds. A really good chance for the Warriors. Caroline Boussier and Kylie McDonough were right on it for the Mustangs, but number 36 for Medfield made a smooth move around the both of them with her left foot, and then with her right foot just put it over the net. And another chance thwarted by the Mustangs. Roughly 8 minutes to go. We're in the fourth quarter of action. Still anybody's game. A lot of time remains. No score. On a nippy Saturday morning from Murray Field. I'm sure the girls are a little bit warmer on the field than our limited number of fans in the stands. Nice play by the Medfield defender now, stepping up. She works against Jenna Nauman. And Caroline Boussier gets this back out of the Norwood end pretty quickly. Here's a chance for Athena Alexopoulos. Now Samantha Rose kicks it just wide of the net as her and her defender both go down, but they pop up pretty quickly. Medfield now trying to work it down the sideline. Good hustle from Jenna Nauman. Here's Sophia Venditti. And a quick step from Jackie Morales-Munoz potentially sets Norwood up with a chance. Boxed out is Athena Alexopoulos. Some good defense there from Medfield. Let's see what the refs indicate. And it will be Medfield ball. The coaches from the Norwood sideline motioning the players back. And Medfield, instead of kicking it away, will try to work it up with their defense. Snuffed out pretty quickly by Lauren Reen, who goes to work. And Lauren will earn possession for the Mustangs. Boy, we've seen Lauren Reen around the ball a lot for Norwood. She's been a great contributor for this team. This one now goes over the head of Kylie McDonough. I think she expected that ball to fall a little bit quickly. But her, with her great speed, able to work it to the sideline. Still with possession. And it will go out of bounds. She was working against 36 for Medfield. That's a dangerous combo. Kylie's played a great game on defense, but we just saw 36 for Medfield with perhaps the best shot the Warriors have had on net all day. Looks like this one will be direct. Back to the middle, number 7 for Medfield. Working against a host of Norwood players. Good step there from Livy Bedard. And a strong move there. Down the side of the field. Here come the Mustangs. And that will roll out of bounds, I believe. And we're going to get a couple subs before we continue on with this. It looks to be Julia Mace subbing out for the Mustangs. And Maggie McDermott has checked back in for Norwood. Trying to get a chance. Here's Athena with a drive. Made some quick work and a strong leg from number 2 for Norwood, but it doesn't go. We are under 5 minutes remaining here in the fourth quarter. We've got the timer up there for you here on NCM, but the refs will keep the remaining 5 minutes on the field, so we won't know exactly when this game will end. But we do know that we're in the waning minutes of the game. Both teams have worked really hard today. These squads want it. They know this season is not long, with this the last weekend of play and the final games coming up tomorrow. Medfield now takes the ball away from Lauren Reen. Good step there from Kylie McDonough to keep it in play, but this one goes a touch too far for Athena Alexopoulos. And now the Medfield keeper will look to boot it away. And that off the foot of number 20, Sophia Venditti, and Medfield will have it. Really great game early on. Joe Panola with you from Murray Field for JV girls soccer action. We're in the final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. And now here's a chance for Medfield. Coming out, way out of her net is Livia Zaldivar, and a smart move from her as Medfield had 2 defenders closing in on Jackie Morales-Munoz. And Medfield, who's been very active here in the late part of this game, now looking to make another chance down the sideline. And that will be snuffed out pretty quickly. And it will be one of the juniors, Livy Bedard, putting it in play. Quick dish to Jackie Morales-Munoz. And this one, once again, will be a redo, I believe. Getting towards the end of this 0-0 game. Chances for both teams, but yet still nothing has found the back of the net. A lot of back and forth play, a high energy from both sidelines. Everybody is standing up on both benches. Medfield going left to right on your screen. They are wearing the white. Norwood in their home blues going right to left. Looking for who's going to deliver that decisive marker here as we close in on the last minute or so of game action. Refs put this one in play for Medfield. And it will be kicked just shy of the net. A couple players going down. However, they pop right back up. One of them appeared to be 17 for Norwood. And it appears the refs will give the ball to Medfield. Norwood now moving back. Some of the varsity teams now moving into play. They're bringing their energy. Now a chance here. And going out of bounds, Medfield will still have it, I believe. A couple players pointing at each other. They do. And again, the ball rolls out of bounds. Norwood will try to get something happening. Late here in the fourth quarter, Medfield against Norwood, no score. We're still looking for our first goal of the contest. Olivia Zaldivar drives it away. Jenna Nauman now. Here's a chance for Samantha Rose. She's tripped up. No call. Athena chases it down against a Medfield player. And it appears it will be Norwood ball. Samantha Rose now will have it. At about the 24-yard line or so, Norwood potentially looking at their last chance to put in the decisive goal. Samantha Rose will drive it on net. No headers made that a little bit difficult. And Norwood still with a chance. Samantha Rose will kick this one in, receiving some direction from the sidelines. Nice move by Athena. And this one rolls out of bounds. Only a couple minutes to go. Refs keeping the time on the field at this point. Still no score, but a chance for the Mustangs. Maggie McDermott now puts it into the box. And it looks like it will be another corner. These corners, again, very strange with the new rules. Let's see how Norwood handles it. Medfield trying to get this out of there desperately in the last part of the game. And I believe they did as the ball went off a Norwood player. I think that was off the foot of number 20, Sophia Venditti. And now Norwood trying to keep it in their offensive end. There's 15, Samantha Rose. Lauren Reen now on our near sideline, working against a couple defenders. A Medfield player goes down, and we get a whistle. Clock still ticking down on the field. Medfield will try to get a remaining chance here in this game. And there is the double whistle. We have reached the end of the game. And it is a 0-0 draw. A great game. It may have looked like just a defensive contest if you look at the scoreboard, but chances for both sides, and credit to the girls on both teams. They kept their energy up throughout, and I think they warmed up on a pretty cold morning. Thanks for joining us for action between Norwood and Medfield with JV girls soccer, and we'll hope you stick with us here on Norwood Community Media. Varsity action is coming up at 11 o'clock as the Mustangs take on the Warriors. For the rest of our crew here at NCM, I'm Joe Panola, and we hope to see you in just a little bit with more action live from Murray Field.